I've needed to get my JRPG fix for quite some time now, and it always seems like I'm met with a certain degree of disappointment. I grew up with the genre, playing nearly every iteration in the Final Fantasy series, as well as any like-minded games I could get my hands on. Maybe it's the fact that I've grown into a different gamer, but maybe my 12-year-old counterpart is just a different sort of person. Or perhaps it's a lack of creativity from Japan. But I just haven't been able to connect with a JRPG in years. Well, that's finally changed. Ni no Kuni: Wrath of the White Witch is a game developed by Level 5 and the illustrious Studio Ghibli, makers of such films as Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, and Howl's Moving Castle, to name a few. With such a powerhouse being the driving force behind the visually stunning game, it's no surprise that Ni no Kuni caught critics' interests early on. The game has been out for a year now in Japan and has been critically and commercially well received for its fun, dynamic combat, quirky characters, and overall polish. Now, I haven't played too much of the 60-plus hour game, but my first impressions are overtly positive. The game is a visual splendor as soon as you pop the disc in. With beautiful cell shading that emulates Hayao Miyazaki's art style to a T, the game is reminiscent of all his movies, which also scores its serious nostalgia points for fans of Studio Ghibli. Not only that, but the music is phenomenal, with a full orchestra score performed by none other than the Tokyo Philharmonic Orchestra. Aside from just being pretty, the game is a hell of a lot of fun, mixing elements of successful RPGs like the Tales series, Final Fantasy, and Pokemon. Monster hunting and training is just as addicting as ever, and once you gain a full party, things get hectic. Managing 3 player characters and 3 monsters to each of those characters makes sure that combat is always fast-paced and engaging. The story is an interesting one as well. Gamers play as Oliver, a young, annoyingly well-mannered boy growing up in the pleasantry of Motorville. He tragically loses his mother in the first few minutes of the game, and in the throes of his grief, his tears cause his stuffed doll to spring to life as the reanimated Lord High Lord of the Fairies, otherwise known as Drippy. Drippy tells Oliver that the only way to save his mother's soul is to venture forth into his own magical world, and your quest truly begins. Through all this, you'll meet quirky friends, dastardly enemies, and encounter truly fantastical beasts as you hone your magical skills in the quest to save Oliver's mother. With all that said, Ni no Kuni has most definitely captured my interest and gives me hope in my love of JRPGs again. It's a wonder to watch, and it's a testament to the often shunned artistic value of video games. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to practice my fireball spell.